Hello, welcome to a long-awaited FPL Topguns with myself and the main man Luke. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, very well. I've recovered from my recent depression not playing the game,
Yeah,
and I've pulled myself up off of my chair, and finally got the impetus to make a recording, mate. So here I am. I've graced you with my presence.
I can't wait to hear you moan for an hour and a half. It's gonna be great.
Well, that's standard anyway, isn't it, for this season? I'm
Yeah,
just
that's true.
constantly
Yeah.
moaning.
Well, normally it's
Yeah,
both of us moaning, but I haven't really got much to moan about at the moment. So,
yeah, you're such a bastard.
yeah, our seasons have gone in very different directions, haven't they?
Yes, there's still time.
There is still time. Yeah, I'm not counting
I'm
any
a
chickens.
dreamer.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're talking about today. Got quite a lot to talk about, haven't
Well, yeah, well, we've got loads because we've obviously not done one for ages, and there's quite a lot happening in the fantasy world. But before we get onto that, how's Mick McCarthy?
we? He's a good lad. It was crazy. Like, I was doing the FPL show, and because normally it's every Thursday night, but obviously normally there's not a game on. And Michael Owen and Mick McCarthy were doing the punditry.
Mm.
And just before we went on, because we were on at 11:30, me and Jeannie, and yeah, and then who comes downstairs? Some England international and Mick McCarthy. And it was fantastic. And I proper fanboyed and ran over and got pictures with him. And yeah, it was great. They were both really nice.
I fully respect that because I've done a few of those as well, as you know, and like it's hard to know where the boundaries are, aren't they? Because you are still a fan, but you're there, and you think to yourself, these guys don't want you like running up and taking photos whilst you're at work from like the staff or the help or whoever we are. But
Mick
I
definitely didn't
completely
mind.
respect. I
Yeah,
didn't. I say I would completely respect the fact that you did that. That takes some balls. So well
yeah.
done.
Mick definitely didn't mind. Owen was more reluctant.
Yeah. Do you know what? I got a photo with Michael Owen as well, right? But I did it differently. So he was on the show, and then we left the building at the same time. Actually, it wasn't the show. I was on did some work from BT Score Zone. Anyway, he left, and I saw him walking towards the train station, the same one as me. And I just
Yeah,
thought that's weird. And it's just weird to think I was just sort of walking towards the train station. There's Michael Owen in front of me in a coat, and he's kind of got his hood pulled up for obvious reasons, I guess. And I just see all these members of the public walking by, and I just want to like stop them and go, "Oi, oi, look, that's Michael
you
Owen!"
know
And
that
I
is.
just,
You know that is.
yeah, exactly. The urge to do that was so strong, and I kind of just like hanged around him like some sort of stalker for like the whole time. And I was trying to pluck up the courage to get a photo, and he must get that all the time. And
Yeah,
eventually I
yeah,
did. And before I'd even finished my sentence, I was like, "Oh, Michael, can I?" And he was like, "Yeah, all right,"
yeah. Got
like
it.
straight away. So I was like, "Yeah, he's
I know you've
obviously
been
chuffed
following me
about
for the last 20 minutes. Come
that."
on.
He had his phone in his hand. He's probably calling the police, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. It was good. It was a good
Wow.
night, that.
Well done, mate.
Mm,
Going up in the world.
clearly.
And in fantasy football. So I know we've got lots to talk about, but I think probably the number one subject has got to be the fact that we were both pretty shite, and now one of us is actually half decent. So
Yeah.
how have you done it, as? Because I need the recipe, mate, to be honest.
I can't quite believe it. So in game week 11, I was 2 million in the world. I think I was a million behind you and
Yeah.
about 40 points or something. And since then, I've had 12 green arrows in 13 weeks. The only hit I've taken during that period has been my one red arrow. So
Hmm.
that probably tells you probably tells you something. And I was looking back over my transfers, and actually my transfers since that week have been really solid. So I got in Madison. That was back sort of what 10, 11 game weeks ago. I bought in Madison. He had a really good run. I bought in Danny Ings, who's just been off the
God, yeah.
charts. We'll probably talk about him some more. I bought in Lundstrom, Dele Alli, Grealish, Traore, Dean, Jimenez. These are all players who have all done well. And
Mm.
if you look at my transfers when I was down to 2 million in the world, you're looking at players like McGinn, who just didn't deliver, Hudson Odoi, Callum Wilson, Mahrez, who you know really well, Ceballos. You look at my transfers first half of the season, you can see why I was doing so poorly. You look at my
Yeah.
transfers second half, and they've been delivering. So yeah, that's the secret really. Bring in players who
Yeah.
score points, Luke. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there isn't really a lesson there, is there? Because at the time those transfers seemed reasonable. They just didn't actually score you points, whereas these ones did. Like Danny Ings and Grealish have hardly got massive. I think we said it on the last pod. They've hardly got like proven track records of being fantasy gold. Now, I think it's probably a bit
Mm.
harsh on Ings because he kind of had, but he also had a load of other reasons like injury and stuff as to why he wouldn't go there. But Grealish has never been a goal scorer really. Like even in his best seasons in the Championship, he never scored like this. So the results define it at the end
I
of the
mean,
day. So they look like good players now.
Grealish, I think, was quite an easy transfer to make because I know he hasn't been much of a goal scorer in the past, but he was clearly like the talisman of Villa. And the week I got him in, I think was game week 18, and they had a run of Southampton, Norwich, Watford, Burnley.
Exactly. Yeah, and I can respect moves like that. That's the kind of thing I used to really enjoy about fantasy football is like identifying a little block of fixtures where you would expect that player to do well. He might be a kind of differential or a bit different, maybe maybe.
Well, it's the secret. I think it's what happened with Ings. So Abraham got injured, injured, and Ings had I think Norwich and Watford. And so it was an easy switch, and then he just went on a crazy run, and it's happened again with Dean as well. So when Ancelotti took over, Everton had a good run. So I thought I'd take a punt on their most sort of attacking defender, and he's done really well. Sort of
Yeah,
every
and I
time I
can
played him.
respect that. I love that because it's followed the fixtures, and that's what I've always predominantly done. Like I go some maverick moves and I try some crazy stuff occasionally, but it's usually not outside of fixtures. I usually still pick a player that I think's got some good fixtures. You just might not have had the form or might not be that popular for whatever reason. But I just feel like
Well,
this season most of the time that hasn't happened. But for
I'll
those,
tell
it's
you
nice to see that it does work if you get the
yeah,
right
it
one.
does work, and I think we're recording this pod at quite a good time because I think a lot of people are wildcarding. We're going to talk about that in a bit, but I think there are blocks of fixtures now where if you are struggling, you can you've got some decent teams like Arsenal got a really good run of games. Sheffield United, incredible run of games for defenders. Liverpool, absolutely crazy run of games. These are teams that you could double, triple up on, and well, maybe not Arsenal, but Liverpool and Sheffield United, where you could get in some of their players and hopefully climb the rankings.
Indeed. However, I will say that, don't you think that it was part of the thing we're going to talk about is having fun this season? I know you probably saw, I think you did see my tweet that I put out that I wasn't enjoying this season for various reasons. And I think one of them has been the random results. Like, even in those blocker games you were talking about there, like the individual players done pretty well, but the results for the teams were probably all over the place in a lot of those games anyway. And it just feels like that quite a lot this season. It's like last week, Man United home to Burnley. Now, I know Burnley had a little bit of a revitalisation recently, sort of beating Leicester and stuff, but they're still Burnley. We're still Man United at home. You'd still expect us to do something, wouldn't you? And it's just like, to me, that not totally out of the blue, and that's probably maybe not a poor example. I know you don't rate Man United, but it seems to be a lot of that this season. Don't you think where just the team just loses and you just don't expect it at all, like outside of Liverpool, obviously?
Yeah, I think it has been happening a bit. I mean, Leicester have been a bit shaky the last few weeks, and with Vardy getting injured, and then players like Maddison not really delivering. I think the key is when you're struggling, is to get in players from teams who are most weeks you can kind of rely on, and United just aren't that. So there's people with like Williams, Rashford, and Martial going into a week with 3 of their first 11 playing for United. And I always thought that's a bit risky. I mean, there are certain teams and certain things you can rely on Sheffield United keeping clean sheets. You can rely on Wolves putting up a fight against anyone. You can rely on De Bruyne most weeks to get you some points. And then you've got Liverpool, and that's quite a lot of your team sorted. And then you sort of you pick a few players around that. I understand though that people don't want to just do that because it's pretty boring and they want to sort of experiment. But I think like what you're saying, when you try and experiment a bit, you get burnt. When you think
Yeah, I
Ings
mean,
isn't going to keep on his record, you get someone else and he keeps scoring every week. It's got to hurt.
yeah, I mean, there's just so many examples, I think, this season where the stars have seemed to align for a player and it feels like it's the right time for them. Like, I think a good example of this is Chelsea and Pulisic, for example, where, Chelsea, they've been pretty good most of the season. Then they've got a run of home games to, frankly, awful opposition. And then, the stars aligned for Pulisic. He was in the right areas. I mean, he just hit a hat-trick fairly recently. His numbers are off the charts. You get him in, or I did, and then Chelsea just lose the games and he does nothing and blanks. And it's just like, that has happened far too many times to me where I feel like it's lined up for me and it's just not come to fruition. And I don't know whether that's down to me just being unlucky. That's what I want to tell myself. But at the same time, I think It can't be, can it? I'm just
It's a
obviously
tricky one
crap.
because like with hindsight, you look at Chelsea, they are quite inconsistent. They're losing games against teams you'd expect them to beat, and then doing quite well against teams like Arsenal and some of the bigger teams. Same with United. It's the same with Everton. They're still drawing that game 2-2 with Newcastle. It's crazy. Like
Yeah,
it
how?
feels.
How has
I
that
know.
happened?
I know. It just feels like, but it's all the kind of same teams. I think there are teams to target which are more consistent and more reliable. But
Mm.
there is massive reward. Like if you get in a play, like I know you had Richarlison, didn't you? Like there's
Yeah,
great
I
potential
mean,
for him. Like he's playing for a resurgent Everton team under a really experienced manager as like their main goal threat. Like it makes complete sense why you'd get him in.
well,
It's just
thank
Everton
you.
again. It's just
But
Everton again, though, isn't
then
it?
I
It's
got
the
smited down by injury though. On that case,
yeah,
that's just another tale of woe in my story. I bring him in for that run of games, and I've been championing most of the season, to be honest. And he'd actually been, relatively high scorer. I think he was still in like the top 10 scoring mids, despite not doing that much. I feel like he's got quite a lot of potential. And he scored 1 week. I think he had 10 or 12 points or something the week before. And I think, he's just ahead of his great run. And then just the injury comes from nowhere. He
yeah.
misses 2 games. So, it forces me into a position I didn't want to be in, taking him out. I go for Mahrez, who had been fantastic for the second time this season, falling into that trap, and he doesn't play. It's just...
I mean, I can, I'm very sympathetic to what you've gone through this season. But when I saw that you brought Mahrez back in, I
Yeah.
was just like, why have you done that to yourself? Especially with Pep saying, the best thing about Mahrez, he's in great form because he's playing every
Yeah.
week. I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, he's benched.
Yeah. I mean, he was going to be my captain, and I literally chickened out at the last minute, just thinking I can't do it to myself if he is benched, despite everyone thinking he wouldn't be. So thank God I actually moved it. But I think De Bruyne blanked anyway. I can't remember now, so it wouldn't have made that much difference. But oh no, he got an assist. I think maybe I can't remember. Anyway, it's just been like that for me most of the season. The timing in general has just been off for so many things. Another recent example is Jimenez and Ings. I know you've had both, so that's kind of why you've done really well. I was looking through your team. But I mean, I had Jimenez, and he was doing really well at one point, a really good pick. And then he probably blanked for like maybe 4 or 5 weeks in a row. And during this time, Danny Ings was obviously going mental, just, maximum bonus and a goal every single game.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, at what point am I stubborn, and at what point am I being too patient, or however you want to put it? Again, the stars aligned like a couple of weeks ago. To switch from Jimenez to Ings, because Jimenez had hard games. He'd done nothing for a little while. The prices were changing, and it just made sense. So I took out Jimenez for Danny Ings, and we all know what happened. Danny Ings has been benched, I think maybe twice or once, and he basically's got no points in the last 3 weeks or whatever it is. And Jimenez has gone mental, scoring braces in games I wouldn't have thought he would have scored a brace in, and he's just gone mad, and it's just crazy. The timing again. The sensible thing was probably just to have both, or if anything, the timing was to have it completely switched around and have it the opposite way, like to switch in Jimenez for the hard fixtures, taking Danny Ings out 2 or 3 weeks ago would have been the play. And I'm not alone here, because I think loads have made the move that I did the other way around it. And it's just, tales of woe from me. And throw in VAR, which has been fucking awful. I hate it.
I hate it so much. I could cry, and I just can't believe how bad it is. Like I can't enjoy anything anymore. I can't enjoy a goal notification on my phone. I can't enjoy watching Soccer Saturday. I can't most of the time I can't enjoy watching a match. It's just everything every goal getting reviewed, and they're like, it's the fact they're searching for things to call a goal off, and that's the exact opposite of how it should be used. I just don't understand how they think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the game's about entertainment and fun and goals, and I'm all for things being right as far as they can, but not to the point where you're going back 5 minutes for a slight handball that no one's noticed in the build-up and no one's even appealed for, to try and rule out a goal. It's just
Crazy.
madness to me.
It's
It is
absolutely
madness.
crazy. I know. Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the start of the season, I think I had about 3 or 4 goals disallowed for things like that from my own team. But luckily, that hasn't happened to me for quite a while. So, what happened with Grealish, didn't it? I think Grealish scored and they disallowed it, but then he went mad anyway.
Yeah, he got a haul anyway.
He did.
Yeah, he did indeed. I bought him in about a week or 2 ago, and he's done nothing since. So it's been fantastic timing again for me.
He will get you points though. The fixtures are the fixtures are pretty bad for Grealish until kind of the end of the season, really. But I just fancy them. I mean, Villa, they're losing all these players, but they're still scoring, most weeks.
I think they have to, because their defense is so
Yeah,
bad,
exactly.
and basically Grealish is the only one with any talent in that attack, I think. So
He is such a good player. I'll tell you,
yeah,
I think he was fouled about 13 times or something in his last match. Most
I'd
fouled
love to
player in the
foul
Premier
Grealish.
League this season. He's he's good. I like him a lot.
You do like your tarts.
King
We've
of
been here
the
before, haven't you?
tarts.
King of the tarts.
Yep.
So Grealish, arise. What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's me just getting old or just generally not doing that well this season, but like you go through fads or something as a kid, or just hobbies in general. Like you might get into poker for a bit, and then you're like, yeah, I don't really like that. And then you get a cine world card, and you start going to cinema all the time, and you get bored with that. And like generally, football has been that mainstay for me throughout like my entire life. I've always enjoyed it, and gradually it's kind of progressed to fantasy football, where I haven't, I support Man United as well, so that. I think that's part of it. We haven't been as successful. It's not been as fun to watch. So it's gradually drifted into the background, and it's become fantasy. I don't know, man. I'm waning. I need
I
something to
think
like rekindle my spirit.
you've been beaten down for quite a long time. I mean, you've had half a season this year. You had a pretty rough season last year as well.
Mm.
And
Well, last season I was being a bit crazy, like on purpose. This season I feel like what hurts the most is my team's generally template. Like I've done a few crazy like captains. I'm always going to try and do things with that. I still think that's a way to do really well, if you can hit captains that other people don't. So I'll probably always have that in my locker. But my team has generally been pretty template, and I've still been bad. So that's the kicker. That's what I really don't enjoy.
yeah, it's hard enough to say. I mean, I see your team each week when you post it, and it never looks like it's a team that's going to get as few points as it does. Like
Yeah, I get that so often. Like comments, how the hell have you afforded this team? That team's amazing. This team's amazing. Like, trust me, it's absolute wank, mate. You do not want it. It is rubbish.
Well, I mean, that leads us probably quite nicely on to something I hear you're planning for this week.
Yeah, I'm going to wildcard.
I've seen a few people. I've seen a few people doing it. I mean, a lot of people are doing it because their triple captains have gone off injured after, 20 minutes, and I think there's quite a few people doing it out of frustration. But we used our wildcards weeks ago, so we don't have that.
Triple captain, you mean? Yeah, we used
triple captain. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I use mine on Sterling, as everyone knows. I think for 1 point, triple to 3 is actually my lowest captain score of the entire season. It was the one I used the triple on. So,
yeah.
I mean, I just have no luck with that chip anyway. Since that came in, I think every season I've struggled to get over like 5 points or something. I think the best I ever had was Aguero with about 8 or something like that.
It's cursed. It's completely cursed, that chip.
I just hate it. So to me, it is throwaway. I mean, I have used it in a double game week every other season, and it hadn't worked. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for a single, because so often you see, Aguero versus Newcastle or whatever is when he got 4, or it does happen in a single game week. Salah did it. Was it against Huddersfield last season or season before maybe? See, obviously you can hit big. So I just thought, why not give it a go? But that failed as well. But yeah, it's throwaway, don't you think?
Completely. I think it's the most overrated chip of the 3. I mean, an incredible return from it would be 20 points. 20 points from the player, triple to 60. But it's deceptive, because you're not getting 60 points. You're getting 20 points because you would have captained that player anyway.
I mean, some people have managed to do it, and fair play to them. But to me, that's it's pretty much luck. I completely subscribe to the fact that if you play it in a double game week, you have more chance of doing well than in a single one. Simply just from probability. They've got 2 games, they've got 2 chances. I subscribe to that, assuming they play both of them. But at the end of the day, it's only probability. So you still might get absolutely sod off.
You've got a chance of a mega. I mean, remember last year, Aguero had the double. He got a hat trick in the first game against Arsenal.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and then he going into the second game for captain, or triple captain, already having a hat trick, and he blanked in the next game. But in theory, that could be that we could get 30 points, 40 points, or whatever. But it's not. It just doesn't feel season defined. Like the other chips just feel so much more powerful in every way. And I mean, the bench boost, I'd say probably 20, 25 points is a decent return. Free hit though is just like kind of unlimited potential, because it's always unlimited potential, but if you use it in a week where you've got a team out, you're also running the risk that your old team could outscore
Yeah.
It's why I think the blank game weeks are the best for the free hit.
Yeah, I think the free hit's hard to judge. I mean, you could use it in a double game week and then look at your score and say, yeah, that's great compared to what I'd have normally got. And there might be like, I don't know, 15, 20 point difference. But the real power comes from, like you say, using it in those blank game weeks almost, because it's the transfers it saves you in and around it, and the ability to keep, what is supposed to be a good team.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge its value because obviously you don't see the numbers flashing up, but it is a tactical perspective. It is a really useful chip. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the most useful out of all of them. I would say even the bench boost one, it's great. It's really fun. But the chances of all 15 of your players playing twice are usually quite slim. This season, I think we've probably got stronger than most other seasons, just simply because there's so many cheap players that are actually playing. Like before, you probably spread your cash all over your team, whereas now you could probably have, I don't know, Rico and Williams and people like that who are probably going to play, and then you just got these people who play every single week like Salah and stuff. So
and it's the lack of sort of premium options. I mean, with Hazard leaving,
yeah, another fact.
Kane getting injured. I mean, this is what I think I tweeted you the other day saying, like, I think it's harder to kind of catch up to people when you start falling behind, because you end up having to take punts on quite random players. Like, I've seen quite a few people captaining Danny Ings, and okay, he's been a great player, really reliable, but you're captaining Ings over someone like Hazard or Kane or these players who the premium players, they're capable of getting 3 or 4 goals against anyone, whereas Ings, you never really know what's going to happen with him. But
I think it's a really good point, because you, like me now on a wild card, I'm looking to the premiums that I can get that are different to everyone else, and there's only a few people that stand out. It's so few. And this season, it's like, especially in recent weeks, if you do want to take a punt with your captain, you look down at your team, which is pretty much the same as everyone else on Twitter, and it's like, well, I've got Salah, Mane, Kevin De Bruyne, and Vardy, and it's like, which one of those do I pick? The least favourite one of all of them, but they're still really popular. They're not really that punty. And then you go, you could maybe go Danny Ings with this, but they're even pretty highly owned overall. I don't think there isn't those, no one's got Kane in for these 2 weeks, let's put him in as captain. There's none of that really going on, I don't think. I mean, Son's up front at the moment for Spurs, and he's like one of my favourite players. And I think, well, maybe I should get him in and captain him, but they've just been awful. If I was to do that, it just wouldn't work.
I know. And like it's like Dele Alli as well. Like Dele Alli, I thought would be a kind of mainstay in my team from when Mourinho took over to the end of the season, and he lasted about 3 or 4 weeks. And then I just thought, God, Spurs are so bad.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think Mourinho's got a clue what he's doing there.
No. And even Salah, I mean, he's been all right, but is he really worth that money? I mean, the games that are coming ahead, and the fact that Mane, we don't know how long he's out of the picture for, it just makes sense to have him, because I've got so much money left over. There'd be no reason for me not to have him. But when you actually look at his individual hauls and stuff, he's not done that good this season at all. Again, really,
no,
what I'd expect.
No, I mean, I don't know if you saw the Liverpool Wolves game, but kind of summed him up really. Like, just
Dreadful.
He looks threatening. Like, if you look at his shots and his all his touches in the box, and everything. Oh, this is the player who's going to be on for a massive haul, but he just makes the wrong decision every time. Like, it's so selfish. Like, there's so many opportunities for him to have got a couple of assists. He probably should have scored. Like, he could have had a good haul, but the way he's playing, you kind of feel like I don't really know I don't know why he's being like that. He's just.
No, and that's kind of, going back to the enjoyment factor. I feel like I have to have Salah in my team because it just makes complete sense with the fixtures. He's too highly owned. Like, he probably will do okay. But then I watch the games, and it's been the whole season. He's been like, outside of a couple of performances, his touch has been off. He does questionable things. He's sometimes not. Sometimes he's not even in the box. Occasionally in a game, he will stay far out on the right wing. And it just feels horrible. You're kind of being forced into that decision in a way, because if I move away from it, it's only going to hurt me in the long run. So I'm just going to have him in there as captain, I suppose. And it's just annoying.
I know. So I'm interested to know, because I put a little wildcard team together, and I was quite surprised because I ended up taking out, if I was putting the perfect wildcard in vocals, I'll try and get these on the screen so that people can see them. But yeah, I put together one. I ended up taking 9 players out of my team and replacing them, and I thought, wow, that's actually a lot more than I would have thought, because my team's been doing all right. But yeah, the fact I was happy to take 9 out kind of shows that things are changing a bit. Fixtures are changing. Players are in form. You've got injuries to players like Vardy and Mane, and some interesting things. So yeah, I'm really interested to know what yours is like. So do you want to do mine first, or should we
I
find
think
yours?
maybe we'll probably do yours because I'm going to assume that yours. I mean, I put a wild card team together, and then I looked on Twitter afterwards. There's other people doing their wild card teams, and we basically all had the exact same team. So I instantly just thought, well, I'm not picking that team then because
So I haven't seen any on Twitter. I don't know if
okay,
I've been
you do your
outside of it.
team, and I bet you it will be pretty much the first draft I did. Go on, let's go for it.
I don't know if it will be. Okay, so I mean there's going to be some players in it who you definitely have. I think Henderson is the best goalkeeper to have from now to the
Ding,
end of
ding,
the season.
ding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that seems to me a pretty obvious one. I mean Foster's also good, but there's a 0.1 in it, and Henderson has got a great run and just loves clean sheets. So
yeah.
I think people on the wild card, they're going to be looking at having definitely one Sheffield United defender. Most people are going to sort of pair. I would have thought Lundstrom with Henderson. So Lundstrom actually isn't in my team. I've gone for Stevens,
I've
who's
got him in my team.
same price as Lundstrom. I'm a bit worried about Lundstrom. I was talking about on the FPL show. He's been a bit shit for quite a few weeks, and
Mm.
Besic has come in and he's done really well. And I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
there'll be a bit of rotation.
I
Yeah.
think there definitely is going to be a bit of rotation there. So I think Stevens, he's doing all right. Stevens and Bulldog, they're both. Bulldog actually has got more attacking returns than Stevens, but whenever I've seen Sheffield United, I've always thought Stevens looks a bit more of a threat. So
Well, I've done a lot of comparison tools on all of them as I've been working out which one to get, and Stevens is the best stats-wise
yeah,
by quite a way, and he's so much further up the pitch than all of them, and
yeah, that doesn't
so that's
surprise
why I've
me.
gone for him.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me. Well, I got Trent obviously because I mean I think your season really took a hit when you took him out.
Another example of timing, isn't it? And again, I was with everyone with that one. Away to Leicester after Liverpool haven't kept a clean sheet all season,
I know.
24 points or whatever it was.
I know. I mean,
Ridiculous.
I can't believe you took him out though. Again,
Yeah, I know.
limited sympathy for you on that because you knew how good he was. You knew you were going to have to
Yeah,
bring him back in after a
I
couple
don't
of weeks.
even I don't even put. I mean, I think it's bad luck that it happened in that individual
It
game,
is.
but I do blame myself for taking him out. Yeah.
24
So
points is very harsh. Even like 12 or 13, you'd probably be kicking yourself. But yeah, 24 points is a
uh,
savage.
especially when I was championing him like before the season starts, saying I can't believe people are going to go for Robertson just because they think he's more nailed on. What are you thinking? And then I go and remove him. Oh, for God's sake! Don't
Yeah,
even want to think about it. Move on.
yeah. And then if you're kind of your third defender you're going to be playing most weeks, I think is kind of a bit up in the air. I mean, you could go for the triple Sheffield United defence. So
Ooh,
whack O'Connell in there if you fancy him. And then you've got
that could
Henderson,
work.
Stevens, and O'Connell. I just think like you look at the way Sheffield United have played. You look at the fixtures in the next 5 games, 6 games even 1, 2, 3. Yeah, in the next 6 games, you'd expect them to get clean sheets. Palace, Bournemouth, Norwich, Newcastle, 4.
Yeah, you would do. The thing
And
is, as well, are you factoring into your decision when you make this wild card? Obviously, you're not going to have it later on in the season to then pick 15 players for the bench boost. So I think sometimes you have to take that into account. And also the blanks. I think Sheffield United have got a real high chance of a blank, I think, in probability. I know you could use your free hit chip in that week, but that's also something to think about. So, for example, your sub keeper would be important to the wild carders right now if you plan to play him as a bench boost later on.
it's a good point, and it's the main reason why I'm not going to play the wild card is because I'm a sucker for those double game weeks and blanks, and it saved my season last year.
Mm.
Was not using that wild card because my team was doing awfully. I kept that wild card, and coming into the season, I managed to turn it around. So
Yeah, I
but
mean, I'm fully behind. I think that is the best strat. Like to use your wild card tactically when you've got more information has been proven to be a pretty successful strategy. And if you have the option, I would always pick that. I do have the option, but for me, it's more about emotional reasons as to why I want to use it more than anything else. I'm going to use my triple captainship outside of a double game week for the first time. I'm going to use this outside of it as well. I may as well. I haven't really got anything to lose and just see how it goes in comparison. You still have something to compare it to, I guess, from other seasons. So, there are a few people who are asking, like, should we wildcard or not? I think it's just completely down to you. I think this season is easier to navigate than others. Apparently, it's going to be, like with the blanks and doubles, it's going to be a little bit easier. So I guess you can only make that decision. But ultimately, if you're given a choice, I think saving it for that blank and double thing is the play. It is the smarter play, surely.
Yeah,
You
I
agree,
think so.
obviously.
Yep.
But anyway, on to my wild card.
Well, hang on, I need to finish mine.
Oh yeah, I'm joking. Go on.
Yeah. So, well, I'll go for quickly. So, I think I think when you're looking for that third spot in defence, you either go for the triple Sheffield United. I really like Bolly. So you called him out start of
Yeah,
the season, then he got injured, but he's back now, isn't he? I think he was on the bench against Liverpool.
he was, and he's like 4.7 or something.
4.7. I mean, that is a great price. It's a great price for him. It really is.
Yeah, the thing is, they play Man United, don't they, this week? So it's always when you make a wild card team and like the first fixture's not that good, it always ends up putting you off a player when it really shouldn't. Like it shouldn't do at all. Plus, there's a very good chance to keep a clean sheet against Man United, to be honest with you. But yeah, Bowley, he's certainly one I'm looking at as to whether I can fit him in, because he's just going to get bonus every time they get a clean sheet. The only thing is, I look through Wolves like I don't know last 7 or 8 games, and they've had some tough ones. There's like barely any clean sheets to be seen. They just haven't got them. But that might be as a result of Bowley not playing, because to be honest, in the past when he hasn't played, they've just fallen apart at the back, and I think it's gone under the radar how well Wolves have actually done without him.
I know.
They're playing like midfielders in defence.
I know. I
and
mean,
stuff.
Den Donker filling into centre back. I mean, it's crazy.
And
really.
even that Sace guy is a mid. I think he might actually be a midfielder. But
no, it's they have done really well, and I mean the fixtures turned pretty good. I think from game week 27,
they do
sort of right to the end of the season. So yeah, I think
it's just such a cheap price, 4.7 or whatever it is. It's like
it's
a little bit more than like Rico, for example.
And I think it's quite an easy Soyuncu replacement as well for people who aren't wildcarding, because Leicester are not the same team they were at the start of the season for whatever reason.
I think Ndidi had a place part in that, and he's back now, isn't he? Or did he go off injured again? Didn't he? He went off injured again, actually, if I remember rightly. Oh no, sorry, he came on after his replacement went off injured after 33 minutes.
Excellent. But yeah, I really like Bolly. Midfield, I think, is where I think it's going to be pretty template. So let me see if I'm probably the same as yours. De Bruyne, Salah, Grealish, Traore. Yeah.
I mean, the first wildcard template I made, that was exactly what the midfield was, and that's what everyone's midfield is on Twitter as well. I mean, it's hard to argue against any of them.
You can't argue it. You can't argue it. What I like about it though is I think it lets you put some more money up front. I genuinely don't know if other people are doing this on Twitter, but I would, if I was wildcarding, I'd be getting Aguero and Aubameyang in. Both
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked at that as well. Yeah, see, we're all along the same lines here, definitely. The midfield bench option, I think Cantwell or Fleck are still the best two.
Yeah, or Moy. Moy's been pushed up to a sort of a left wing role now.
He's a good shout, actually. Yeah, I didn't even think about him, because I love watching him play.
I mean, most of his hauls come against Bournemouth, and unfortunately, we don't play Bournemouth again. He's got 2 double-digit returns against Bournemouth in the last 6 weeks. But yeah, I like Moy, and he's signed a new contract now. He's actually signed properly. He's a good player.
How much is he?
4.8.
Okay, all right, yeah, fair enough. Didn't even think about him. He's one to think about. I think a lot of people are going Fleck.
A lot of people are going Fleck.
Got such good games, and he has got a couple of hauls in him. I still don't know how I feel. I still feel like Cantwell is the best out of all of them, because he's probably most striker-like out of all of them.
If you look at heat maps and stats and all that stuff, then Cantwell blows Fleck out the water.
Yeah, he's got a slight injury at the moment, and obviously he is rotated and subbed and stuff occasionally. They've got Buendia, they've got Hernandez, they've got lots of good attacking midfielders. They've got a couple of new ones. That Duda guy is like an attacking midfielder as well. They've got loads of really good ones. So, but he's kind of just held on, and he just keeps chipping in with goals. So I think despite the games, he's probably still the standout for me. I mean, so what if you've got a good fixture? If you don't even play the guy, he's just on the bench, and the chances of him coming on and actually getting you points in that individual game are really slim. So why not chance it with Cantwell and see if you can get one of his braces or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's how I feel anyway. But yeah, I'm probably not going to go with that midfield just because everyone's got it. I think I'm going to ditch one of them at least. I don't know who though. I was thinking about getting Son despite their terrible games.
Yeah, he's playing up front.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. He's one of my favourite players. He's playing up front. He should be getting points. And if Spurs can magically just turn it around like they did before, then instantly he becomes a good pick again. I'm just a sucker for a midfielder playing up front. So,
Unless it's
yeah.
Martial.
Well, I've got him in my team at the moment as well.
Yeah, so I.
Yeah.
Not too happy about it.
No. Martial, God, I'm going to go on a complete tangent here. I just want to shake the guy like really hard, but I don't think that would work either because Jose obviously tried that and then he just didn't play for 8 months or whatever. The guy's got like talent, man, but you can just tell with Martial. Like, I swear he's one of these guys who gets out of bed, he probably looks himself in the mirror and he goes, nah, can't really be bothered today. And then in 3 weeks, he might do it and look at himself and go, do you know what? I'm up for it today. And he'll just turn it on. And it's just like, what is the secret to get him playing consistently well? I don't know. Did you watch the game against Burnley?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit in it, right, where I can't remember who it is. It might be Matic or someone in centre midfield. He's basically running through the centre up front, Martial is, and he puts his arm up asking for the ball. And Matic plays it through to him. Now, there is another Man United player kind of in front of him. So you could forgive Martial for thinking that the ball was going to go to that player. And he doesn't dummy it. The play kind of just develops and it just goes past that player and ends up to Martial. And then he takes the 2 worst touches you've ever seen in your life, like breaking into the box, just stumbles, falls over and gets tackled. Where, considering how good of a finisher he is, all it took was just 1 decent touch or 2 decent touches, and that was a goal, like easily.
Yeah.
And he was asking for the ball. He had his hand up, and I was like, when I first looked at it, I thought I could forgive him because of that player in front. He didn't realise the ball was going to come there. But when I watch it on the replay, he asked for the pass. The pass was delivered exactly where he wanted, and he just completely fucked it up.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying because he just does that occasionally.
He's like he's so frustrating because you know after about 10 minutes whether you're going to get a return from him or not.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of those players where you can tell by his performance, like straight away, his touch is off. He doesn't look interested. It's not going to happen. But what's more frustrating with a player like that is that can switch on a weekly basis without a moment's notice. Like, he could turn up next week and look like the best player in the world.
Yep.
Like, there's no consistency in terms of their performance over a period of time. It's just completely random. So home to work, Wolves next week. After that performance, everything in my bones is saying, sell him. You look rubbish. You could barely control the ball, like Rooney-esque drunk. But then he could just turn up and brace quite easily because he's playing up front for Man United and he's a decent finisher. It's not like he's a bad finisher. So it could happen.
I mean, he's done all right. He's got 8 goals this season, but really, he should be doing better. I mean, he's a midfielder playing up front. He's not had back-to-back double-digit returns at all this season. Pretty much every time he gets a double-digit return, he follows it with a couple of blanks.
He's not really a centre forward. We just don't have one.
No.
That's the problem. I mean, Rashford's not a centre forward and he's injured anyway. You've then got Greenwood, who is the best centre forward in the world apparently, but is nowhere to be seen. He's still in Toys R Us or whatever Solskjaer's doing with him. I don't know. And Martial's just put up front, who occasionally can look good in that role and quite efficient, but he's still not really a centre forward. And he's not really a left winger either. It's hard to know what to do with him.
No. I mean, Solskjaer doesn't have a clue.
No, apparently not.
Yeah.
I mean, this Wolves game, it just looks like a nightmare for Man United. It's like they're so good, Wolves, at soaking up pressure and then countering, which is basically what we try to do as well. Except they've got Traore and we haven't. So I'm pretty sure we're going to lose that.
Yeah, I mean, Traore up against Shaw or Williams I think it's going to be
frightening, isn't it?
Yeah. He was so good against Liverpool. Oh my God.
I mean, Robertson's arguably the best left back in the world, and he was getting skinned left, right, and centre.
He was. I told you, this is what we talked about last time we did the pod. Nuno put his arm around him. You know what we said?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't got to be shit anymore, my son.
Can someone do that to Martial?
They need to, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, Traore is just, I don't know if I could go without him now because 5.7 million, I think he is. And his performance, he's done well this season. In terms of FPL points, there are sometimes quite a few blanks in a row where he looks good and he hasn't really got his rewards, but then he just hits like a double-digit haul or something. He's just...
This is the big problem with Traore, though, and it's why I've been reluctant to have him. He's been my 5th mid, so I've benched him for all of his hauls, pretty much. But I kind of don't really blame myself because you just never know. Like, I don't. You're talking about trust and reliability of players. I mean, he blanks against Watford away, blanks against Newcastle at home. Gets 2 assists against Southampton, scores a goal and assist against City, scores against Tottenham. He's blanked against Norwich, he's blanked against Brighton, he's blanked against West Ham, blanked against Sheffield United, it's just blank, 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 blank.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can kind of be a bit, when you watch someone play like that and they're just absolutely insane and you think, oh my God, he's ruined Robertson's career. And Robertson's never going to play for Liverpool again, clearly, after that. Why would he? It'd be Milner going back to left back, I'm sure, when he's come back. But yeah, it can kind of sway you a bit. You can think, oh, he's so good, I've got to have him in my team. But actually, he's not really consistently delivering points. He's kind of the one player I think you could miss out on.
Yeah, but then at the same token, I think the other way to play it is just make him your 4th midfielder and just put him in. Because if it's 2-2-2-14, 2-2-15 or whatever, it doesn't matter, does it? You're still getting a large amount of points over a period of time, as long as you're actually putting him on the field. So I think that's why everyone's picking that midfield. I think, Traore, Grealish, De Bruyne, Salah, and then just Fleck or Cantwell on the bench or whatever, because they're just going to play him every week. And I'm probably going to do it. The only thing is, a lot of people are also going for Jimenez, and then you're doubling up on the Wolves' attack. So despite them looking great in the last game, that worries me a tad. I don't like to double up on attacks. Rarely ever works for me. Like when I do it with City or Liverpool, let alone for a team like Wolves who don't score all that much. Like, is that a concern? Because I bet you're going to tell me you've got Jimenez up front, aren't you, in your wildcard team?
No, I haven't actually. I've got.
Okay.
Well, I put Aubameyang, Aguero, and Ings because I think.
Of course, yeah.
Ings has got a great run of games coming. God, Burnley, Villa, West Ham, Newcastle, Norwich. I mean, I can imagine there's people going without him, trying to second guess especially this week, because it's like you say, it's that you're making your wildcard team. You look at Ings' fixture, Liverpool away. You think, don't want him for that. And then suddenly he's got an amazing run of games and he's scoring every week again, and you're back to where you were a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jimenez is great. I really rate him. He would be easily someone who could swap any of those 3 out, I think, and be fairly confident they're going to deliver.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the template front line for Twitter at the moment is Aubameyang, Jimenez, and Ings. If you're going on a wild card, that's what people would be picking. And that's the first team. When I picked it, that's what I had as well. But yeah, like I say, that would result in probably a double up with Wolves, with Traore and Jimenez. They're playing Man United game 1. Then you got Ings who's playing Liverpool game week 1. Shouldn't matter, but it does in your mind. You're just like, well, I'm picking a wildcard team and I'm picking players for that. I'm not going to get a great score. And then you got De Bruyne away at Spurs. And it doesn't stink of points. Like that initial hit of points that you just want straight off of a wildcard doesn't look like it's going to come. So that's why I can say a lot of people are saying, well, if you are going to wildcard early, then probably the week after is the better one, where those fixtures will turn around for Wolves and Danny Ings, etc. And I can understand that. I think that's probably a little bit more sensible. But yeah, mate, you've pretty much nailed the template there, I would say. The Aguero one, talk me through Aguero, because I'm sitting here thinking, should I get this guy or not? We sort of hinted it at the beginning, where when you're down and out and you want to try and make the ground up, you look for those big hitters that nobody else really has to sort of carry you out of it. And there doesn't seem to be many. But Aguero, is he not one of them? I mean, he possibly is, and one that I'm looking for that reason. So should I get him? Because you're obviously getting him.
I would get him. It's a really tricky one, and it's one of those ones where kind of whatever advice you give to people, it could easily go the other way. I mean, there's a large part of me that thinks City are out of the Premier League race, and they're desperate to win the Champions League. Champions League is starting up again soon. Is Pep going to wrap him up because he's so important to what they do? I mean, they've got Real Madrid, haven't they?
I think so, yeah.
He's going to need him for both of those games. So is Jesus going to play in the others? But then you look at Aguero's fixtures, and actually I think the tough fixture run might work in his favour. Because, I mean, they've got Spurs, Leicester, Arsenal, United in the next 4.
Their games are awful on paper.
Yeah, they're awful, but that's the kind of games that they're going to need Aguero for, to sort of make sure they're going to get points in them.
You say that, but is that not a thing of the past now? Is Jesus not just his level, his peer? I mean, they even play together occasionally.
He's nowhere near. He's nowhere near as good as Aguero is. It's just he's not. I don't even think he's that good.
Okay, so you're not going to be wrapping your arm around him and telling him he's shit or he's great, or what would your line be for Jesus?
Well,
Sort those eyebrows out.
if pretty much, I think I think he's had a real chance this season to really stamp his authority in the team. Aguero's sort of getting on a bit now, and he's been injured for a few weeks, and like
He's
Jesus is
done
coming
all
in, he's
right.
done all right, yeah, but he's not set the world alight.
No, he's a kid. I think you don't give him enough credit. I think he is a good player, and I think he's not that far behind Aguero, like overall, because he brings a lot to the team. But it's just sometimes he is really frustrating. He just, I don't know, he just kind of misses things or doesn't really seem to be in a
He's
game like
miles
Aguero is
behind.
sometimes.
Honestly, I think he's miles behind.
Yes, I struggle to. I want to back him up, but I kind of agree with you. So I don't know.
I know, yeah, and I mean, Aguero's come back from injury. He's got 6 goals in 3 games.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can't
Pretty much
actually recommend enough about Aguero.
single-handedly rescued them a point. Well, not rescued them, but single-handedly got them a point against Palace, and then came off the bench and scored straight away against Sheffield United in a really tough game.
But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what we think. You're paying £12 million for Aguero, who has really, really bad fixtures on paper, and he has a player in Jesus who will start games ahead of him. It's been shown numerous times, and it will happen. So occasionally, your Aguero will be on the bench, and it could be a week where you've decided to captain him, and he could then come on for 10 minutes, like as this is a thing that City do. So would you pick him on wildcard? I'm sitting here and I really want to pick him. He's one of my favourite players. He's one of those big hitters who can get you the hat tricks like he did a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic. But does it actually make sense to do it? Because
I think
it's just going to be pain, isn't it?
The captaincy's out the window, because I mean, with Liverpool's run, I think you stick it on Trent, Mane, or Salah.
But then I think you come back to the argument: should you pay 12 million for a player if you're never going to captain
but
him?
this is where, when you've got a midfield containing Aaron Moy, Traore, and Grealish, you've got the money to then use that to spend on premium options.
You have, but it just feels so wasteful. It's like you could get, I don't know, Vardy instead of him for 3 million less. You probably, let's say even Aguero goes crazy, he's still not going to outscore Vardy by enough for that to be worth it, unless you're throwing the armband on.
True. I mean, you've got. It's if you're going to get Aguero, you get him in now. He's in form. I don't think he's ever been benched. He's never been benched against Spurs. And then he's got West Ham. I mean, West Ham could be a game he's benched in, but he only needed 20 minutes against Sheffield United to come off and
well, that's the other side of it, isn't it? I mean, he looks like he's going to play against Spurs, and then you think, well, if he plays against West Ham as well, so let's say he scores 1 or 2 against Spurs, he then scores 2 or 3 against West Ham, and you've had the bravery to put the armband on him for 1 or 2 of those games. Suddenly, it doesn't matter if he doesn't play for 4 or 5 weeks, because you've just got so many points that no one else has that it's done its job already. You can then look to
exactly.
move him out,
And like you say, like the thing is, once if you get Aguero, you're not like, you haven't signed a contract to stay with him until the end of the season. You've got the option to move down to anyone you want. So if after 3 weeks you decide, okay, he's not getting enough minutes, he's getting rotated, then you've got Vardy with Norwich away. You've got Jimenez, who's probably been doing all right, and you can switch to him. Like you've got once you get someone like Aguero, you can switch to anyone else in the game.
Okay, yeah,
with 1 or 2 transfers. So
yeah, I hear you. I think that's smart. But it looks pretty sure. We can never be sure, can we, with Pep? But it looks pretty sure he's going to play against Spurs. So if you're on a wild card, he's up there for the targets. But would you have him above Aubameyang? Because a lot of people aren't going with both; they're having one or the other.
No, I wouldn't. No, I think Aubameyang is the player. If I was wild carding, if I was chasing, or not even if I was, I don't think it makes any difference whether I was chasing or whether I'm ahead. I think he is the player who can take you from 80k to 10k, or the player who can take you from 1 million to 100k, because I think the fixtures are great.
Where's this faith coming from? That's what I want to know, because so many people seem to be along that track line. Everyone's getting on wildcard, even people who aren't on wildcard, like, right, how am I going to get a Aubameyang for even Vardy? Like, what is screaming out to you?
Because he's got 14 goals playing for an absolute shower of shite. Arteta looks like he's got a plan. Like, from what I've seen of Arsenal, they look a lot better. And I think he's going to get the best of him. I just think if you've got one of the best strikers in the world playing for your team, and they have been as bad as Arsenal have, and he's still got 14 goals. They've got a good run of fixtures, a manager who's sort of inspiring some confidence. Like, who else? Like, this is the thing though. Who else are you going to get? Like, you need someone who's going to turn your season around. You need someone who's going to come in and you can trust. Who's been reliable all season. I just think he fits it.
Yeah, I echo that. But at the end of the day, I know Aubameyang's been out, but their results still haven't looked that good, and Arsenal still haven't smashed teams. They haven't when you get a striker like Aubameyang or the Agueros and stuff, the allure is the fact that they're going to get a massive haul, isn't it? That's the thing that you really want. You want them to get a brace and then a penalty or something, an assist. You want and Aubameyang just hasn't done that for a long, long time. And you just think of Arsenal even scoring more than 2 or 3 goals in a game, like ever. Like, is that their performances have improved, but the goals haven't necessarily. So why is that suddenly going to change? I don't know. Arsenal have let me down so much this season. Like you, I got Aubameyang for that run where it looked like it was going to be a good move. I mean, even when he was doing really well for the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, he still scored 1 goal every week. I don't think he ever did anything else. He literally got 1 goal every week, maybe an assist in one of them instead of a goal. So yeah, I want you to make me have faith, because I want to have him in my team.
Well, you talk about sort of getting in a player, before a kind of a decent run of fixtures, and I think when you have got a player like Aubameyang who is coming into a good run of games, who he's had a nice little rest now in a few games out, and he's playing for a team that I know that they're not Arsenal aren't the team they were a few years ago. They're not going to win games 4 or 5-0 because they're just not good enough. But you're going to go into games against Burnley, Newcastle, Everton. Then they've got City. Then they've got West Ham, Brighton, Southampton, Norwich. I mean, he's going to get goals in those games. He's going to get goals. He's not going to play. He has been scoring goals against those teams all season. I know he had a bit of I think he had 3 blanks in a row. But other than that, he's been pretty consistent.
What happens to Lacazette?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Lacazette and Martinelli. I think
Martinelli's been really good on the left wing, right? So
I think Pepe drops out.
I would hope, like if I was going to pick Aubameyang, I would want Martinelli left wing, probably Pepe right wing, and then Aubameyang up top, and just put Lacazette on the bench. I don't think he can play. I don't think that's going
to happen.
No, and that's the other worry. Like I just look back. The last time Arsenal scored over 2 goals, and they only scored over 2 goals, actual 2 goals twice in this run, was the 9th of December.
Yeah,
so that's
doesn't surprise me.
And that was against West Ham.
Yeah.
So since then, they've scored 1-0, or I think 2, maybe twice in that entire period. They just don't score that many goals anymore. So that's kind of my worry. I just knocked out my headphones, so I can't hear if you're speaking.
No, I wasn't. No, I mean, I haven't got a crystal ball. I can understand your.
Fucking tell me the answer, Az.
I can understand your concern. I just think you just haven't got that many options. If
if you don't go with the Aubameyang, I sit there with about 8 million in the bank with no idea what to do with it. That's the other factor.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't do anything you don't already know about. I mean, you worry about him on the wing. Got 22 goals last season from the wing.
Yeah, no, I love him. Again, he's one. The reason I'd be going for him is more because as I said, I'm bored with this season. I just want to go for players I like. And Aubameyang, I really like as a player. Son, I really like as a player. I'm going to get these people in because it will be fun for me, I hope, just because I enjoy watching them play. So that's kind of the more the rationale. I think the games are good. He's there, but it's like players' stock goes up when they're out sometimes, and sometimes we put them too high, I think, in our minds. Like Aubameyang's not been there for a while. All those factors you've mentioned already, suddenly it looks like the stars are aligning. Aubameyang could be a good pick, but he wasn't that great before. So are we just sort of raising him up higher than
3 goals in 4 under Arteta before he's setting off?
Yeah, 3 goals in 4, fine, but I can also get that from Chris Wood or Danny Ings for 6 million. Do you know what I said to you before? I want the braces and the hat tricks. Do you see what I'm saying?
I know. I do know what you're saying. Yeah. I do know what you're saying.
Anyway, we've done that to death. Well, just get Aubameyang. I'm questioning it, so it's going to be a smart move, no doubt. Like,
it's hard to judge Arsenal because of how much I hate Emery.
He's not there anymore.
I know exactly. So I think if you're talking about not scoring that many goals and being inconsistent and stuff, then I blame him for that. And I think Arteta has I wasn't too sure when they appointed him, but he is winning me round a bit. I think their style of play is better. I think he actually has a plan. He knows how to unlock some of these players. I mean, Martinelli's looks amazing. And even Pepe looks better. I think there's a bit of style and substance to Arsenal now, which they didn't have before. So if they are going to get 2 or 3 goals, then I think they've got the run now to do it. I mean, he'd be the first name on my wildcard, I think. for a new
Right.
player.
Okay.
If I was going.
Well, it's like because I see that team out there, I just think, well, how can I be a little bit different? And then I'm not saying I'm going to go for this, but there's loads of other. It's like, well, why not? Why don't I get Pepe then? He's on all corners. He's cheaper. He's in midfield. If he's
Yeah, but
suddenly
he's
going to explode,
shit.
yeah. Well, that's not important. It's
Don't
not
worry.
important in fantasy
Don't
football.
worry. Don't worry about the Twitter
So
template.
Salah, he's shit, but he still gets points.
Did you see that stat? Like everyone on Twitter had, I think, Trent, Salah, and Mane. Like every single team was like triple captain Salah or Mane. Those three, blah blah blah. You look at the actual like overall percentage of teams that have those three, and it was like 2.2%.
Yeah, I know, but I only care about the people's teams I can actually see and the people I interact with. I don't care about the casuals team. So to me, the Twitter's teams and everyone who's got them, that is everyone as far
Well,
as
you
I'm
won't be
concerned.
saying that when
Everyone
you
who
finish
matters.
at 1 million, and you could have finished much higher, couldn't you? If you got Aubameyang in.
I don't care about that anymore. That's long gone. I ain't getting anywhere out of this, right? And I'm not going to
Don't
do it,
get
but
Pepe for fuck's sake.
I've seriously considered it. Not be honest. And it's like maybe I'll get Redmond instead of Ings. Maybe I'll do that.
You're gonna have to give me your password. I'm blocking you out. You're not allowed to get Redmond or Pepe. I ban it.
Hey, Redmond's looked good in recent weeks, mate. I'm tempted by him.
He
6
always
million.
looks good. He always looks good. He's one of those players.
No, he don't. He's lost his hair.
Well, that's true. He looks like one of my mates as well. So no, he definitely doesn't look good.
Do you remember the end of last season where Redmond just went on an absolute tear? And
Yeah.
a lot of people had him in the start of this season, despite their terrible games, just because of how good he was, even in inspected data, everything. And he's been largely pants for the whole season. But
It's amazing that such an attacking player can have so few attacking returns.
yeah.
Even when Southampton have been like in the most incredible form ever, I think he's only got one attacking return in the last like 6 games or something.
He went on a really long run of doing nothing, for a long time.
Yeah, he's a good player. I do like him. He is a good player, but I wouldn't want him in my team, to be honest.
Right, well, I'm not going to bore you because a lot of people won't even be wildcarding and listening to this, but my team is essentially pretty much exactly what Az said. The only thing I was thinking of was doubling up on Liverpool defence. That is a common theme.
Yep.
So rather than Sheffield to go for double Liverpool. I mean, the bench players, there's like Lascelles out there, it's 4.2 million. Newcastle aren't really going to keep that many clean sheets, but they've just got a fantastic run of games. And if he's going to sit on your bench, he's going to play most weeks. He's the club captain.
Yep.
So
he's a very good. Like if you're looking at like Kelly and Rico, our 2 favourites. Kelly and Rico.
Which I'm now winning. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I don't like Rico anymore. He's old news.
Yeah, he's going to eventually get replaced with the other Kelly, I think.
Yeah, maybe there's too many Kellys.
Yeah, let's quash that chat. So
I like Lascelles. So Lascelles is the new Rico.
Yeah, I mean, you could get Williams maybe. I don't know whether he's going to play though. I mean, when you get a player like Williams in, you think, it's maybe a good pick. He might play, but then it comes to a double game week with Man United. Is he going to play both when they have got Luke Shaw, even though he's fat? Probably not. He's probably going to play only one, isn't he? So I don't really not sure if I really like him. And then you got Stevens, 4.4 from Southampton. Such good games. He gets bonus whenever he plays, really, and they keep a clean sheet. So I think he's a good pick on the bench. Probably going to have him. Yeah, we've mentioned any of the Sheffield United defenders. I mean, Lundstrom still could be a good pick. I just think now, if you've got the option, it probably makes sense to move away just on the chance that you will get rotated. I mean, that could quite easily bite you. But I mean, players like Baldock have actually not got that lesser attacking returns than Lundstrom. I think they're fairly close in attacking returns. Just that obviously Lundstrom's made the headlines because he's a 4 million, midfielder essentially. So yeah, I think any of those are good. Van Dijk, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold. I think only Alexander-Arnold is the one you definitely need or want, and then I think you can make a case for either Van Dijk or Robertson. I'm probably going to go Van Dijk for 0.5 million cheaper. He's actually outscored Robertson so far this season. Does that make sense to do that, or do you think that Robertson will come roaring back?
Yeah, I mean, with Trent's delivery, you've always got the chance of him getting a header. I mean, he's got 4 goals, I think, Van Dijk, 2 of them against Brighton. But there's always that chance. I don't know. I think I think if I was going to double up on the Liverpool defence, I'd go for Gomez.
Yeah, he's obviously a lot cheaper, but there's so much money thrashing. I don't need to do that. Like, I don't need to give
that's
myself.
True. Yeah. I mean, Van Dijk has some attacking threat, and Gomez doesn't. So.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. He'll probably play most of the games. Gomez probably play all of them, but there is still that lingering doubt. And plus, he's an really injury prone player. I mean, might play every game until he gets injured.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, the only other ones really that you haven't mentioned is like Son. I think maybe instead of Grealish, I might just try to be a bit different. Everyone seems to have Grealish. He's such good value and probably should have him, but then I could just rely on the fact that Villa will just go pants and he can't score because they haven't got a striker and it just goes a bit peaked on.
They got one
Okay.
now. They've signed that Tanzanian guy.
Right. Well, that stinks of success.
He's the first ever Tanzanian striker in the Premier League.
Jesus.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I mean, what kind does he play? I mean, don't tell me he plays in Tanzania because, my God, I can't imagine what the facilities will be like.
No, I imagine he's been playing somewhere else.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, he's probably going to score now. I probably should have had him in my team. Yeah, and apart from that, the only other person I've looked at is Chris Wood, who I'm probably going to start with. A Burnley striker. How do you feel about them apples?
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
He's 6.2 million, right? Let me just talk you through this. They've got good games, like pretty good games all round, really. And I think he's scored, I don't know, like without looking through the fixtures, in like the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think, consistently. He's been doing pretty well. He's got penalties. And they also, I think the only team pretty much assured not to blank at all. They'll play every single week regardless because of just the way the cups fall now.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a handy player to have, like especially if you're using your wild card like me now, it gives you one less headache to worry about, essentially.
He's always been a player that I've liked. I've always liked Chris Wood. I mean, he does pretty well every year. I think this is his third. Well, I don't think I know because I'm cheating and looking it up. This is his third consecutive year scoring 10 goals for Burnley. 6.2 is a good price. I don't know, man.
He's the original troll as well. You know how like there's been a lot of trolling going on this season. Do you remember pre-season where Wood scored about 59 goals and Barnes did nothing, and then the Barnes train was a thing, and then Barnes just scored every single week for like the first 7-8 weeks, and Wood did nothing. I mean, he trolled before the season even started, Wood. So good on him. I've got to get him in now.
I mean, I'm just surprised. I mean, I think it's difficult for me because I think, you know, the strikers are probably where you in the colloquial sense, not just you, but you know, if people are looking to make up ground or get ahead, then the strikers, there seems to actually be quite a few decent ones at the moment. Like even someone like Firmino, who's done well for me in this double game week. You know, you got Vardy, even if keeping him now is almost a bit of a differential against, thanks. Aguero, Aubameyang, Jimenez, Ings, like there seems to be quite a lot of players. I mean, even someone like Abraham, if he shakes off the injury, there's a lot of people around, and then to get Chris Wood, I don't know.
Yeah, I think all those strikers are ahead of him, and that would be the more sensible play. But I don't want to do that for that reason. I want to go for the one who's a little bit more of an underdog. He's like 1% owned. What have I got to lose? So I just put him in.
What have you got to lose? Well, if Ings scores another 10 goals, then you'll probably lose quite a lot.
Well, no, I'm probably going to have Ings, Aubameyang, and Wood up top.
Okay.
That's probably what I'll go for. So ignoring Jimenez, because in my mind, I don't want double Wolves attack, and Traore can cover Jimenez, that favourite word. And then as a result of that saving, I can then turn Grealish into Son. And that's where I think, well, is that sacrifice worth turning Grealish into Son when Grealish has actually been the better pick than Son? Probably not. But again, it's to be a bit different.
Chris Wood. I was not expecting that. You've astounded me again, Luke.
Yeah. What can I say? It's almost certain to go wrong, but it's just try and be a bit different. That's it. That's the only reason. Don't follow me, for God's sake.
Don't follow Luke down the Chris Wood-shaped abyss.
Yeah, definitely not. You wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley either.
You wouldn't, no.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Right. What should we move on to? That's our wildcard teams. It's sort of, if you can piece that together. I mean, is there any other names you want to throw out there that you would
I don't
consider
think so.
at all?
I think, like we said, the pool is quite short, so quite small. So
Watford players?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Foster.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I know.
Remember the last pod when I said Watford might have a mini revival now? Pearson comes through, and you just completely writ them off and said no, they'll be utter shite.
Yeah,
they're Watford.
Do you know what? It all changed when I saw a training video of his. And he was getting his...
And Pearson was literally whipping them or shooting guns?
Well, basically, he was getting the midfielders to sprint into the penalty area and, like, take a shot. and he basically said to them, if you don't have a shot, then I'm going to literally lash you 10 times. And they had the midfielders running into the box, passing around, taking a shot, and they're up against like 2 defenders. So the 2 defenders were against 3, I think. And it was just this drill, and he was just doing it over and over and over again. And I was like, Jesus Christ, if I had to do that like a couple of times, I would die. But like, I don't know, I just thought it was a really good drill. Like, he was getting them like thinking quickly. He was getting them, taking shots. He was encouraging the defenders to learn how to take on 3 players. I mean, it's probably a pretty standard football drill.
Yeah, I was going to say, so he's being a football manager then.
He was basically being a football manager, but it was an intense training session. And after that game, they went on and beat United.
Yeah, I imagine it is very intense. Every time there's a conversation with Pierce on screen, I feel like threatened for my life. I feel like my safety's in jeopardy. Yeah. Like, he is so intense, isn't he? But
it's risky when a manager comes in like that and sort of gives all the players a kick up the arse. I think it can kind of go 2 ways, can't it? They can either hate it even more and just completely
the Martial, Jose Mourinho,
exactly, or they all kind of react to it, and it looks like they all have, because I think when you've got someone like Deeney as well as your captain, like I think he's going to respond pretty well.
He buys into that, yeah.
And if he is, then I think the rest of the team will. So,
but then part of me think, how long can that last? Because ultimately, it's still the same players that were utter shit beforehand. Like,
but then they're the same players that were good last year.
Yeah, I suppose so. But yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll let you have that. I don't have anything else to say. They were pretty good last year, but they surprised me massively that year as well. Every time I looked at their team sheet, I thought, how is this team winning a game? But they managed it.
I think they've
got one of the worst starting 11s in the league, I think, quite often. Like, there'll just be defenders pop up you've never heard of. They're always injured. Like, they constantly rotate in their injuries at the back, like all season. Like, you can't sit here and say, will Janmaat play right back? Will Firmino play right back? Will Havertz be at left back? Messina will play. Will Kabasele be there? Cathcart. They've got endless centre-backs. Prodal, like, endless, that just come in and out.
Yeah,
just
no,
injured.
I completely. In defence, it's a shambles. But actually, I think midfield and up front, they're actually quite. I really like Doucouré. I think he's absolute.
Yeah,
I'd love.
great.
If I was a footballer, I'd love to play alongside Doucouré, because he would just destroy everyone in your path. I like Will Hughes. I like Pereira when he's on form.
Foster's playing really well at the moment as well.
Yeah, you've got Foster playing well. You've got Sarr, who's come in and looks a decent player, and then Delafeu and Deeney, who are just like the 2 most different types of striker imaginable, who I think kind of complement each other quite well. I think they're a solid sort of lower mid-table team. They shouldn't have been bottom for as long as they were.
No, they're probably just making up for it. Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to some questions then. I don't think there's anything else to talk about wildcard-wise that we can think of anyway.
Nah, I don't think so. Questions. What you got for me?
I mean, if you're not planning your wildcard or thinking about it this week, then sorry to waste your time. Sorry about that.
See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week, hopefully. Right, what do we need to talk about? Okay, yeah. The second question I wrote down: how many hits is too much in order to save the wildcard? So, in other words, if you're thinking about a wildcard, what's the sort of threshold? Could they just take a -12, for example, and therefore bank that wild card and just change the team as they need be? Now, before you answer, I'm going to say that there is no point me asking this question, because I've taken approximately 869 points in hits. I'd hit my mother, so I'll move it on to you.
That's a good one. You'd already used your wild card though, so technically you didn't have the option of doing it.
I didn't need to do it this week. I didn't even need to take a hit. My team was half decent. So yeah, I just don't want to answer the question because I've got not coming from a logical perspective here. I mean, if you want me to, I would say that -12 was probably what I have in my mind.
Yeah. I think it depends on why you're wildcarding. If you're wildcarding because you're looking at your team and you're thinking, I've made these 9 changes, but a lot of the players I'll be taking out, I wouldn't really want on a wild card, but I'm sort of relatively happy to have in my team anyway, if that makes sense. Like, if I was wildcarding, I'd probably take out Vardy, Firmino, Dean, Lundstrom, but I'm not that unhappy having them in my team. So, I'm happy to keep them. If I was looking at my team and I had loads of injuries, non-playing players, players who'd blanked in like the last 4 or 5 games, I think I'd take a hit anything up to -12.
Yeah, I think that. For some reason, I think that is the threshold. if you can make your team okay, you do that -12, you look at it and you think that looks pretty good, I can live with that, like, then it's probably a good idea. When it starts getting into that -16, -18, that's wildcard territory for me straight away. I
Yeah,
just
well,
don't know
12,
whether
12 is a lot. Like, not only
yeah.
have you got to, if you're thinking about how many points a wild card's worth every few weeks, I mean, you'd be happy with 30, 40 points or something. If you're immediately taking 12 points off of that, you're sort of halving the total that you'd be happy with. And you're running the risk that the players you take out, if they are still playing, are going to score
Mm,
as well. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's got to be drops and injuries involved there, really,
yeah,
hasn't there?
it's a lot.
Rather than just vanity
12,
moves.
12, I mean, 4 really is a pretty big chunk, is what I've learned over the last 12 weeks. 12 points is huge.
Right, let's move on then. Who do you think is the biggest trap? So, in other words, who's that player that everyone's looking at right now, and they're going to get him in, and they're going to do absolutely sod all for weeks on end?
I mean, it could be Aguero, but I'm gonna back him. Because I just think it's a good time to bring him in if you're going to. The biggest trap. Oh, I don't really know. I mean, it could be Grealish if people are considering him. He's in great form, but the fixtures do turn. But I still fancy him to do quite well. I don't know. Biggest trap. I mean, who are some players that quite a lot of people are getting?
I don't know. For me, Aubameyang is probably. I reckon he's going to end up being a trap
You
just because
think?
I'm going to end up going with him. The stars are aligning for him, and it's the reasons I said before. He hasn't really done that much this season. Arsenal still haven't looked that great. Everything looks like it's the key time to get him, and then he'll just go and let me down like he's done in the past. So for
Yeah.
me, it's probably going to be Aubameyang. But I mean, Traore and Jimenez looked fantastic last week against Liverpool. Like, do you think they could be a trap?
Well, there you go. That'd be my pick, Traore.
You think?
I'm not convinced he's a good enough fourth mid.
Really?
In terms of like the way he's playing, yes. In terms of points return, I just don't think he's going to deliver consistently.
Yeah, fair enough. He's had that most of his career, to be fair. So it could just be a rich vein of form. You
I
never
hope I'm
know.
wrong. I've got him, and
Yeah, I hope
I'm
you're
I'm
wrong
gonna
because
I'm gonna I'm
I'm
gonna
going to have
I'm
him.
definitely playing him against United. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I'm also going to have Aubameyang in my team, almost like 99% certain. So I hope my trap fails as well. Anyway, a question people have asked is what to do with Mane. Now, if you're not wildcarding, then Liverpool have got great games coming up. I know we don't know yet the extent of the injury news, so I guess that's going to factor into it. But have you got any plans of what to do with Mane? I mean, I guess we could assume here that he's going to be out for a long while. Just assume he's out for 3 or 4 weeks. Otherwise, your answer is going to be keep, right? On the bench, even for 1 week.
Yeah, I mean they've only got one more game, and then they've got a 2-week break.
Mm.
So if he's out for 3 weeks, and he's going to miss, I mean he's going to miss West Ham. He won't play in that game. Then he's got Southampton at home. I think he is probably quite likely he's going to miss that as well. If he's going to be back for Norwich, then keep him. If he's out for like 6 weeks, then you switch him for Salah, surely.
All right, and if you've already got Salah?
Yeah, if he's going to be out for like quite a long period of time, I think you have to get rid of him. Maybe have a bit of a restructure, swap him for Aubameyang,
It would
get
almost have to be a
Jimenez.
restructure, wouldn't it? Because apart
It
from
would.
Son, there's like no one else who's expensive in midfield who looks half
No,
decent.
no, there's not. There's
Not
absolutely
even
no one.
Pepe.
Definitely not Pepe.
For their good run under the Arteta and wonderful Arsenal, as you keep telling me.
I think if you've got him and he's 2 or 3 weeks, you keep him. If you've got Salah, you go for Aguero or Aubameyang if he's out for 6
Okay, a
weeks.
1 week punt. He's got 2 free transfers. He's already got Salah. He wants him for 1 week because he thinks he's going to be out. Who do you get for 1 week? Because then he brings him back in.
Has to be a
I'm putting you on
midfielder.
the spot. Has to be a midfielder.
Oh my god.
Spurs are playing Man City.
Well,
Arsenal are playing Burnley. Mr. Pepe.
who comes in for Mane? Be Origi, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for Liverpool themselves. Yeah, of course it would be. Well, I assume it would be, yeah. Or it could be that Minamino, whatever his name is.
Oh yeah. Maybe how about Minamino as a little punt? There you
He looks fucking dreadful so far. He's worse than Pepe at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's my pick, Minamino.
All right, okay. I'd say just keep Mane. What are you doing?
Well, you
We don't
can't.
even know.
You can't. You banned me from that.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted you to have the hard question. I'm going to have the easy one.
What's the easy
I
one?
mean, we don't know, do we? We haven't got enough information yet. He may still play. Knowing my luck, because I think you played your captain on Trent Alexander this week, right? Your
Yep.
triple captain? Not triple
No,
captain, just your normal captain.
just captain. Yeah.
So did I. We both did that, and we didn't talk about that. And he's
No.
actually got an assist so far, so he's actually doing the best out of everyone quietly.
Yeah.
But I don't want to shout about that yet because you just know there's still a game to come.
I'm not saying anything because I'm so sure
Exactly.
Salah's going to get 20 points and I'm just going to be
Yeah,
miserable.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
and or Mane just magically turns up again, and then that'll be so fantasy football and everyone complaining, and he turns up and gets 2 or 3. All right. Next question. Chip strategy. Do you have one in mind? Everyone's talking about the chips. I mean, mine's basically pissed up the wall already. So, do you have one?
So your wild card is played then?
Yeah, I've played it.
You have definitely done it. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have a chip strategy. I don't have any information about when the blanks are or when who's gonna be in them or what. I just know that I want to save things until a bit later on. So my chip strategy is do nothing for a bit.
Yeah, wait on the information. But I think the general rule, I think we've pretty much done the same thing every season. It's going to be playing the free hit in a blank week of some sort, and then playing your wild card 1 week ahead of the biggest double game week. Is pretty much it, isn't it?
I think it's got to be you bench boost in the double and you free hit in the blank. It's just that's why the chips are a bit shit because
they are shit, aren't they?
They're just like obviously you do that if you know how to play the game. That is kind of just the obvious thing to do, isn't it? You're maximising the amount of players you have in the double, and you're not setting your team up for just because there's blank fixtures to play.
We're playing a game of probability, and that gives you the best chance of doing well. It doesn't always work that way, and in past season it hasn't quite often. But it's about those chances, isn't it?
Yeah.
So by doing my wild card now, I'm sacrificing the fact that I'm playing with lower odds right now, but I could still hit it. that's the thing.
Well, the thing is, if you wild card and you make up 40, 50 points on your old team, then you've already won. You've already done what you need to do because.
Yeah, and that's why the allure of Aguero captain to Spurs or something, to see that initial, hat trick and 30 points or whatever it is straight away is just that it sort of just entices you to do that just to get that instant gratification for your decision.
Because it does feel that's what you're judged on that first week.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's really dumb because even if you did really well that week and they did nothing for 8, it becomes old news. It's like we're quick to forget. Really, we should analyse over a 9-10 week period or whatever it is, not just that one, but it just seems to be that way. All right, fun one to end. Who would play you in a movie? And don't say Tompkins because he can't act.
Jack Whitehall, isn't it?
Oh, he's not an actor. Well, I suppose he is.
He is. He wouldn't even need to.
That's so easy for you.
He wouldn't need any makeup or anything. Straight in. No, it's easy. What about you?
Probably Free Willy, the way I'm fucking stress eating at the moment.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, a fucking orca.
I would love to see the story of your life played by Free Willy.
Silent movie.
Yeah.
Occasional squeak.
Yeah.
I don't know who would play me. I mean, when I was a kid, people used to say I look like Macaulay Culkin. So
that's true. Yeah.
One of us has become, this could be libelous, a skinny drug addict, and one of us has become a fat fantasy addict. So it kind of makes sense.
Or if you're following on the comedian theme, you could go for someone like Jack D, because he's just really angry and hates the world. Be quite.
Yeah, I like that. He's actually one of my favorite. I did actually enjoy watching him when he used to be on TV.
Good. He's very good. There you go. We can do a double up, Jack D and Jack Whitehall combo.
Awesome. Do you know who else I like as a comedian? What's his name? He's on 10 out of 1. What's that show? 10 Cats or whatever.
8 out of 10 Cats.
Yeah, and he's got glasses and he's the captain on one of the sides. Sean something maybe.
Sean Locke.
Yeah, I find him really funny.
Yeah, I saw him live. He's really good.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Tangent, I know, but I like that kind of humour.
Yeah, he's very dry. And
Love it. Love that stuff. Right, I think that's it about it, mate. Have you got anything else to say?
Don't think so. Sean Locke for our fantasy teams.
Yeah. And Free Willy playing me in film.
Oh God, what an ending.
Yeah, brilliant. You could be Lassie.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
You're quite fluffy and obedient and quite friendly and cheery and happy. I can imagine you getting a newspaper and bringing it to me.
Yeah, I probably would, to be fair.
Everyone's best friend, Az.
A little pat on the head.
Everyone knows that's Az.
Oh, what a lovely ending now.
Yeah.
Go to bed feeling all glowing.
Yeah, and in the end, you're the hero. you go riding into the sunset after rescuing your game week and your season. Good job, mate.
Actually, that is a little bit what it feels like. Yeah, good boy, Az. Good boy.
Well done, Pat. Right, anyway, see you later then, mate. When are we doing the next one? A couple of weeks, months, next year?
Well, next Monday if you're around.
I'll try. I'll see if I can drag my. If I've got a good game week score, then then you'll hear from me. All right.
All right, Granville.
All right. See you later.
See ya.